his parish for 20 years and about to retire. A joyful day when he can relax and then only has to minister as a volunteer. Mr. President, in the gallery we have his wife and family. I'd ask the Senate to give the Tickner family a warm Senate welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for being here tonight.
Move that his prayer be journalized.
Without objection, we will certainly journalize the pastor's invocation. Short, sweet, to the point, just how you get it. Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, Chair recognizes the Senator from District 30.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, this is a wonderful day. We've been without a lot of visitors for the last 2 years, but just before session, I had the honor of spending time with Girl Scout Troop 2300 in the gallery above the center. Ladies, can you stand up and wave? So we had a great conversation about all the things they would do if they were a senator for a day, including helping animals, cleaning up the bay, and, Mr. President, investing in our parks, which I thought was just very salient for tonight.
Look at that.
So,
look at that.
thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome, Girl Scouts. We really, really deeply, deeply appreciate you. Glad you could be here this evening, and hope you all have a wonderful day at school tomorrow, too. Chair recognizes the Senator from Howard and Carroll counties.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening I had the honor of spending time with two families from District 9, two members of Boy Scout Troop 883 who recently attained their Eagle Scout rank.
And are they here?
I'd like to invite them to stand
Excellent.
and just tell you a little bit about their projects. Our first scout is Anthony Crognali, whose project involved replacing a deteriorating walkway roof at the historic St. Joseph Church in Sykesville. He took on the daunting task of coordinating contractors and volunteers, as well as navigating the sometimes difficult, almost always difficult process of renovating historic structures. Our second scout is Gavin Coningstorfer, and he was curious about the history of the C-130 aircraft acquired by Juturna Springs Eco Resort in Woodsboro, Maryland for use as a diving attraction. He worked to contact government agencies and develop a photo history and historic timeline to be displayed both above and below the water in the quarry.
Wow.
So I'd like to invite the Senate to give them a warm welcome. Thank
Congratulations. Congratulations on those Eagle Scouts awards. They are no small task. And we have our Senator from District 7, C-130s, right?
Yes, Mr. President, Loadmaster on C-130s. So they sank one as a diving, you said?
Yeah.
Well, I know they didn't
Someone
sink
sank it, huh?
Sad to see a plane in the water, Mr.
That's
President.
right. No
Especially the hurt.
No load masters at the bottom of the
No.
bottom of the reservoir. No, we'll appreciate it. Thank you all for being here, and congratulations on your great work. It's really wonderful. Thanks for representing our state well. All right, Chair recognizes the Senator from the 43rd District.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like the body to welcome the Doctor of the Day, 43rd District resident Gary Pushkin and his wife Kathy is there as well. He's an orthopedic surgeon and past president of the County Medical Association, past president of MedChi, and he actually started MedChi's opioid task force and is its current co-chair.
Wonderful. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you. We appreciate you. Chair recognizes the Senator from the 17th District, Montgomery County.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I was delighted to see an old friend and colleague in the gallery, and I want to introduce and make sure everyone knows that John Wassilison is with us. As you may remember, he was CEO, Executive Director of TEDCO, the Technology Development Corporation. He worked at the Department of Budget Management. He worked with our state treasurer and has had a wonderful career of public service. He is now semi-retired, but maybe he can be lured into some wonderful project. John Wassilison, welcome to the Senate.
Welcome back, John. Good to see you. Great to see you. And Vice Chair of Finance was introductions?
We still okay, I something other than introductions.
Senator may proceed.
So on Saturday night at the Xfinity Center in College Park, the boys 4A state championship was played, and it pitted the Winston Churchill Bulldogs, and the among the alumnus of that fine high school are none other than the senator from District 16 and the senator from District 17, and the Feldman children all went to this high school. And they took on Eleanor Roosevelt High School from Prince George's County. And I will say for this little group here, sadly, Eleanor Roosevelt in a double overtime thriller prevailed. Now, had a friendly wager with a group of House members who graduated from Eleanor Roosevelt, and I did agree that if, in fact, that was the outcome, I would be the one to stand up and announce the fact that the state champion men's 4A basketball champions are in fact Eleanor Roosevelt, in lieu of having to wear a t-shirt and a hat tonight in the chamber. So I negotiated that deal, and so I want to officially congratulate Eleanor Roosevelt High School for their 5th state championship title, and I'll leave it at that. My debt is clear, and I'm just going to stop while I'm ahead. So thank you, Mr. President, for that announcement.
Senator, we may have to journalize those remarks. Chair recognizes the senator from Prince George's.
Mr. President, as the senator who represents Eleanor Roosevelt, whose 2 daughters graduated from this fine public school, I say, hear, hear.
Well done. Excellent, excellent. Little committee rivalry, cross-chamber rivalry, and it's got to love it. All right, so any other introductions or business before we jump in? A couple administrative notes. First and foremost, this is going to be a very, very busy week. We all know it's crossover week. Crossover is, of course, a week from today, but we are going to have a very busy week on the floor and in committees. Expect several double sessions and start clearing Saturday, just in case. So keep Saturday, if we're productive and efficient on the floor this week, we don't have to do Saturday, but if we're not, we got to hold it. So just start thinking about those plans on Saturday if something may need to be adjusted. So on a positive note, that's the challenging note. On the positive note, we also do have a couple interesting things to help bolster the spirits this week. On Wednesday, the BSO will be here in the Miller building in the Rotunda from 12:15 to 12:45. So that'll be a little lunch respite. On Thursday, we'll be doing a St. Patrick's Day celebration in the chamber. Very short one, something that we've done in the past from a former senator, and we'll have a string quartet with us. On Friday, we will have the Teacher of the Year ceremony. So we'll have a number of teachers from across the state who are here. We will also have the one and the only Sparky the Fire Dog. So Sparky the Fire Dog will also be here, the real work of the people right here. So final thing is on Saturday during the day at 11 o'clock at the Basilica in Baltimore, we will be doing the gavel celebration. The Sons of the Revolution will be presenting and dedicating the gavel. On the following week, they will have a presentation here in the Senate. But on Saturday is the dedication of the gavel at the Basilica, to which everyone should have received notice ahead of time. So it's a busy week, but we got some interesting, fun cultural experiences along as well. One other final note, I know there were a number of senators that were having issues getting out of the garage. The city of Annapolis is in charge of the construction right now on Bladen Street. They've been incredibly, incredibly responsive, and our very own Miss Joy Walker walked down there with the project manager to point out where the barriers needed to be moved so that there was a safer exit. So according to Miss Walker, it is a safer exit at this point. So hopefully taken care of. If it's not, let us know. There's going to be a lot of this in the next few years here, sadly, with the demolition of the DLS building. So, if there is an issue, please make us aware of it, and we will jump on it as quickly as possible. So hopefully that one is addressed. If anybody has driven out, hopefully that is working well. All right, any other business before we get moving? If not, so be considered the reading of the journal from the prior legislative day. We didn't do a quorum. There we go. We left it open. We wanted everybody to be here. The clerk will take the call. With 47 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland is now in session. Let's start with a message from the House. Clerk will read the bills.
House Bill 18, Delegate Boyce, Maryland Pain Stewardship, EHE.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. They will be referred to the appropriate standing committees. All right, we have everyone here. We just did a quorum call. Let's do our third reading calendar, which is here somewhere. There it is. All right. This is third reading calendar number 31. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 264, Senator Elfrith, Community Solar Energy Generating Systems Exemption from Property Taxes.
All right, Senate Bill 264 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 264, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 528, Senator Penske, Climate Solutions Now Act of 2022.
All right, Senate Bill 528 is on third reading for final passage. Chair recognizes the minority whip on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. We spent a great deal of time talking about this bill late last week. I do think it's important to sum up what's happening with this legislation. We're at a time when gas and energy prices are at an all-time high. You may have noticed we're having an energy crisis in this country in a lot of ways. The Biden administration has dramatically curtailed at the national level our drilling capabilities. They've shut down a pipeline that was to be constructed. They've restricted mining operations, including mining for some of the very minerals and the very things that we need to create some of the items that go in these these batteries and solar panels. I view this legislation as a continuation of that policy. It's a war on energy. It's a war on affordable energy for working families. What this bill will do is dramatically raise the price of energy long term in this state. We'll be phasing out gas. It'll raise prices for those who are in places that can't upgrade to a different heating source. Older, more condensed areas of the state. It forces retrofitting on small businesses and facilities larger than 25,000 square feet. It'll be a very expensive process that will add to their cost as a small job creator. But it doesn't just stop there. The same size buildings can be low and moderate income housing that will be forced to retrofit at great expense to either the homeowners or to the renters who the cost will be passed down to. It will increase demand for the limited electric supply on a grid that we've been told by our the utilities that the grid that cannot sustain the demand that it would cause, which will lead to higher costs for electricity, but also an expansion of that grid will be necessary, which will be lengthy, labor-intensive, and ultimately expensive. We're told that this is all to address an existential risk to our climate, but there is no promise in this bill that this will do anything to impact the climate. So we're raising energy prices at literally the worst possible time for something that will not benefit the thing that the bill says it's about, which is climate solutions now. We have an aggressive program in the state for reducing emissions, which is something we should be happy about, be proud of. This is going a bridge too far, but in a way it's going a bridge to nowhere because there's no benefit to doing this. It's just going to raise energy prices. There's no benefit to the overall climate or to the climate crisis. It's not going to impact it. It will make us all pay more for energy, including the people who can least afford it. So, Mr. President, I'll be voting red on this bill and urge my colleagues to join me.
Thank you, Senator. On the bill, Chair recognizes the Senator from the 34th District on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, here's my caution on this. The leader in this area is California. California is the leader. They pay 66% more per unit of residential electricity than the rest of the nation. 66% more. That's a burden that falls most heavily upon those who earn the least in California and in Maryland. This amounts to a very regressive tax. I don't think this is where we ought to be going in the state of Maryland. It's a very regressive tax. I urge you to vote red. Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion on the bill? If not, Chair recognizes the floor leader before we call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. You know, it's been said on the floor that this is symbolic. We heard that last week. We heard last week that it's the tip of the spear. And among these well-worn tropes, there have been other disparaging comments made. And even here in the halls of Annapolis, the utility industry has said the sky is falling. The governor declared last week that it was an energy tax bill. Tax is not mentioned anywhere in this whole bill. And in fact, all of the data and calculations say this will be cheaper for the state of Maryland. But what are the facts? And I'll try to be very brief. In November, after nearly 2 years, the Climate Commission voted 22-2 with a number of these recommendations, 22-2. 5 secretaries from the Hogan administration voted in favor of these recommendations. Did these 5 secretaries do it on their own? If so, it was the first time they would have done it on their own, ladies and gentlemen. Close to 1,000 pieces of legislation have come through our committee, EHE, and on 99.9% of those, there was no position taken. It was letters of information, but yet on this Climate Commission recommendation, 5 secretaries from the second floor from the Hogan administration voted yes. They believed it was the right thing to do. Clearly, they made that decision based on the data, on the cost, on the science, on the experts, and the second floor said, go ahead. The second floor told the 5 secretaries to go ahead. So what happened in November was go ahead, and when you fast forward to March, we put them under the bus, saying it's a bad bill, it's an energy tax bill, but yet 5 secretaries, the Secretary of Natural Resources, the Secretary of the Environment, the Secretary of Agriculture, and others said it's the right thing to do. Are we the tip of the spear, as was said last week? Of course not. Washington State has already passed a 70% energy consumption reduction. New York State Senate has passed an all-electrification bill. New York City, 10 million people, has adopted a building performance standard. Colorado has passed building emissions reductions. And Maryland is one of 14 states that statutorily has set broad emission targets. So, ladies and gentlemen, we can either be part of this movement or we can stand in the way of this movement. That's our choice today. And, you know, the bill has a lot of things. I'm not going to go through them. Many of them that were passed last year. And while I would love for it to have been bipartisan, it was not bipartisan. There was 1 Republican vote for it last year when it was in a more modified fashion. So here we are today, a year later. Does it go far enough? I don't believe it does. But it makes a very important step forward. If we care about our future commerce, about our transportation and quality of life, we have to take these steps because we will lose that commerce, we will lose that transportation and that quality of life. You know, again, we can join that momentum forward or we can get in the way. Or there's a third choice. There's a third choice, as the governor has done. He's tried to have it both ways. In November, it was bad, it was good, and now it's bad, and then take credit for it and call it an energy tax when tax is not in the bill at all. And if we come back after these studies are done, in a year or 2 years, I can tell you the same people who opposed it this year, the utilities, will have the same arguments and be against it then, even if the Public Service Commission says it's the right thing to do. Why? Because they're going to put their profit margin ahead of the people and the environment, because this is their industry. So we have to understand that. But we've retreated on some issues. But this contains many, many important things. It's going to help the safety of our people in our urban areas, try to deal with asthma, reduce emissions from school buses, have a climate corps, environmental justice corps working in Baltimore City and Prince George's County and Dorchester County to plant trees to make homes more energy efficient. We're going to have a green bank to leverage private capital. It does a lot of very important things. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to join this growing movement. I think Maryland should join this growing movement, and I will proudly be voting green today, and I hope you join me.
All right, on the bill. Any further discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call.
To explain my vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, Senator from the 38th District, apologies.
Thank you. I've attempted to summarize the constituent views in my 3 counties, Somerset, Worcester, and Wycomico, and just to be brief, my constituents, they are strong advocates for efforts to reduce emissions in our state, but they believe that the real solutions for meeting Maryland's emission reduction goals can and must be accomplished without threatening jobs, economic recovery, energy reliability, and energy affordability for our families and businesses. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Any further senators wish to explain their vote? If not, with 32 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 528, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 541, Senator Elfreth, Natural Resources, Maryland Park Service and State Parks, Alterations, Great Maryland Outdoors Act.
All right, Senate Bill 541 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 541, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 566, Senator Elfreth, State Retirement and Pension System, Investment Climate Risk, Fiduciary Duties.
Senate Bill 566 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 33 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 566, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 585, Senator McCray, Public Safety Warrants and Absconding.
Senate Bill 585 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? Chair recognizes the senator from District 4 has 2 minutes to explain his vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Just to explain my vote, I noticed today in the Goucher poll that crime was the #1 issue, and this is actually a very good bill dealing with crime. Not only does it put more money, $2 million, towards warrants, but also deals with a loophole in our law with absconding. So if somebody is sentenced to drug treatment or a court program like that, and if they just simply leave like they're allowed to now in the law, judges are sort of handicapped what they can do, and this will allow them to reincarcerate the person if necessary. It's very important to keep people into drug treatment and those programs, money for warrant squads. So I think this is a good bill as far as dealing with crime prevention.
Thank you, Senator. Chair recognizes the senator from the 37th District. Nope, not on this. All right. Clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 585, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Chair recognizes the senator from the 37th District.
Thank you very much. I want to be red to green on Senate Bill 264. Thank you.
Red to green. Any objections to the senator's motion? Without objection, so ordered. All right, let's go to the layover calendar. We've got layover calendar number 22. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 645, Senator Carrozza, Wycomico County Alcoholic Beverages Dinner License, Theater License. Question is on the adoption of the committee amendment and the favorable report.
All right, question before the body is on the one committee amendment. Chair recognizes the senator from the 38th District. Is this a substitute amendment or one for after the report?
One for after.
Okay, on the amendment, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The one committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. We will collect the senator's amendment to the bill. Give us just a moment, Senator, to get it loaded up into the system. All right, Senator, may I explain the amendment?
Thank you. This was an amendment that was requested by the Wycomico County Council that really should have been put in early on. Technical amendment taking out the word preparing and making it consistent with the earlier bill that we passed, SB 646.
All right, Senator moves the amendment. There are no objections from the committee. Any objections on the amendment? Without objection, the amendment is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, that was the only one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Seeing none, Senate Bill 645 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. All right, let's go to layover calendar number 23. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 861, Senator Bidle, Maryland State Police Gun Center Establishment. Question is on the adoption of the committee amendments and the favorable report.
All right, question before the body is on the 3 committee amendments. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 3 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Do we have any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 861 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Let's go to the Committee on Finance. This is calendar number 8. If we are ready, clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 166, Senator Ellis, Maryland Medical Assistance Program, doula program, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the Committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just by way of a little background, if you're actually looking at the bill, you'll see there was some testimony from the Maryland Department of Health. There was actually 2 bills in the very same space, Senate Bill 166 from the senator from Charles County, and actually Senate Bill 503, the senator from Howard County from District 12. And so with all the incorporating the 2 bills together, a lot of the concerns that are raised in Senate Bill 166 are no longer the case. So specifically as amended, Senate Bill 166 requires the Maryland Department of Health to ensure that doulas providing care under Medicaid are participating doulas. Number 2, review participation in Medicaid of participating doulas and program recipients. And number 3, evaluates the effectiveness of doula services covered by Medicaid. The bill establishes requirements for participating doulas and specifications for covered doula services. Amendment number 1 adds a sponsor and alters the purpose paragraph. Amendment number 2 conforms the bill to current, and I want to repeat, current regulations already in place, and strikes provisions related to the establishment of a specific doula program within the department. Number 2, a list of doula certification organizations, and number 3, a specific coverage requirement, and 4, a specified report. Those are all stricken under the amendment. The amendment clarifies that doulas provide non-clinical services, provide that doulas supplement the services of healthcare providers, and provide prenatal coaching instead of prenatal counseling. The amendment further replaces the term medically necessary with medically indicated, provides that the bill does not limit the authority of the HSCRC to set hospital rates, and finally strikes the requirement that MCOs provide home visiting services. There is no fiscal impact, Mr. President. I would move the amendments in the adoption of the favorable committee report. The bill did pass on a 10-2 vote in the committee, and I would note, just in terms of what a doula is, some folks who are not on finance may not understand that there are sort of birth coaches. They deal with the prenatal, postnatal. They're not involved in the clinical part of birthing, but these are the non-clinical folks who just help coach folks, women, through the whole entire process. And with that, Mr. President, I'd certainly welcome any additional questions, but I move the amendments and adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill or its title? And Senator, we had a doula for the birth of our first child, and thank the good Lord that we did, because I had no idea what was going on. Having the doula there to help assist was a game changer. I was the only one there for the second. She turned out all right, but you know. So, at least I think. Senate Bill 166 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 241, Senator Augustine, Behavioral Health Crisis Response Services 988 Trust Fund, favorable with 2 amendments.
Good bill. Chair recognizes the sponsor of the bill, floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. In 2020, the federal government established the 988 as a universal 3-digit gateway to behavioral health services, including for those people who are in a crisis. Now, Senate Bill 241 establishes the 988 Trust Fund to provide reimbursement for costs associated with designating and maintaining 988 as that universal telephone number for National Suicide Prevention and Mental Health Crisis Hotline, and developing and implementing a statewide initiative for the coordination and delivery of the continuum of behavioral health crisis response services. The Maryland Department of Health must designate 988 as the state's behavioral health crisis hotline by July 16, 2022, in accordance with the Federal National Suicide Hotline Designation Act of 2020 that I mentioned, administer the trust fund, collaborate with specified entities to promote consistent public messaging of 988 services, and submit a report on specified activities by December 1st each year. Amendment 1 adds sponsors. Amendment 2 reduces from $10 million to $5.5 million the mandated appropriation required in fiscal 2024. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable committee report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 241 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 334, Senator Feldman, Electricity Standard Office Service, Renewable Energy, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. As amendment, Senate Bill 344 establishes the long-term power purchase agreements for renewable energy work group to, number 1, review certain long-term contracts and power purchase agreements for renewable energy. Number 2, to study the feasibility of implementing long-term power purchase agreements for renewable energy contracts in the state. Number 3, make certain recommendations. The bill as amended also requires the certification agency designated by the Board of Public Works and the Governor's Office of Small Minority and Women Business Affairs, in consultation with the Public Service Commission, the Office of the Attorney General, and the General Assembly, to initiate a study of the renewable energy industry and market in the state and make certain recommendations related to minority-owned and women-owned business participation in the renewable energy industry and market. The Governor's Office of Small Minority and Women Business Affairs, the certification agency, and the Office of Attorney General must develop certain race-neutral and gender-neutral approaches related to minority-owned and women-owned businesses seeking to participate in the renewable energy industry and market in the state. In all cases, findings and recommendations must be reported back to the General Assembly by December 1st, 2022. Amendment number 1 alters the purpose paragraph. Amendment number 2 strikes the bill as introduced and affects the bill as described. It's a work group study, and for all that, Mr. President, I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. On the amended report, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 334 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 394, the President, Statewide Targeted Overdose Prevention Stop Act of 2022, favorable with 3 amendments.
Chair recognizes the Chair of Finance as the floor leader.
Thank you. Senate Bill 394 is an administration bill that, as amended, continues the state's effort to increase the availability of life-saving naloxone. Specifically, the bill authorizes EMTs or paramedics, while providing emergency services, to offer naloxone to an individual who received treatment for a non-fatal drug overdose. Specified community service programs, treatment programs, public facilities, and hospitals must establish protocols regarding offering naloxone free of charge to individuals with opiate use disorders or who are at risk of overdosing. The bill also extends immunity protections to any business or business owner when the business or owner is acting in good faith while making naloxone and the related paraphernalia available to its employees or patrons. Amendment 1 adds sponsors and is technical. Amendments 2 and 3 replace dispensing with the term offering, corrects references to regulations, correct the definition of community services programs, clarifies the circumstances under which community services programs, opiate treatment programs, state and local jails, and parole and probation must offer naloxone to individuals with opiate use disorders or who are at risk of overdosing, and if funds are available, require Maryland Department of Health to purchase and provide naloxone at no cost to the entities identified in the bill. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 3 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. Chair recognizes the senator from the 34th district on the amendments.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Working on an amendment to simply, hopefully friendly, just to simply conform this to the bill that passed in the House. I just ask that the bill and the amendments lay over under the rules.
That's no objection from the committee, or wait, the motion is in order, so the bill and the amendments will lie over under the rule. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 496, Senator Bidle, Business Regulation, Miscellaneous State Business Licenses, Alterations, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 496 is at the request of the clerks of the courts of the state of Maryland. It updates and clarifies and alters provisions of law governing miscellaneous state business licenses. The updated provisions include licensing materials issued to the circuit court clerks by the comptroller, distribution of licensing fees, application requirements, late fees, the effective date of licenses, obsolete provisions of law, including licensing amusement license devices, wholesale farm machinery dealers, plumbers and gas fitters, and trading stamp issuers. In addition, licensing provisions are all altered relating to construction licenses, peddler licenses, junk dealer licenses, laundry and dry cleaner licenses, storage warehouse licenses, restaurant licenses, chain store licenses, traders licenses, including yacht sales, and vending machine licenses. There are 2 amendments, and they're technical, striking an inappropriate reference to self-storage warehouses and specify that restaurants do not require a trading license to do business in the state. There was no opposition. It was a unanimous vote. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments, the favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 496 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reader. All right, we've got another finance report. This is number 9. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 527, Senator Feldman, Elderly Individuals, Howard County and Montgomery County Adult Daycare Services Pilot Program and Task Force, favorable with 1 amendment.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 527 establishes a Howard County and Montgomery County Adult Daycare Health Care Services Pilot Program to integrate the provision of medical adult daycare, home health care, medical services provided under Medicaid, Howard and medical service provider. Howard and Montgomery counties may jointly designate and authorize the operation of 1 or more entities to serve as an integrator and coordinate all services provided under this pilot program. The bill also establishes a task force on the pilot program. Howard and Montgomery County must jointly staff the task force. By October 1 each year, the task force must report its findings and any recommendations to the governor and to the General Assembly. The bill takes effect July 1, 2022 and terminates December 31, 2025. The amendment adds a representative to the task force and makes changes to the charge of the task force. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendment and the adoption of the favorable committee report, Mr. President.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 1 committee amendment, the favorable committee report. On the amendment, chair recognizes the senator from the 12th district.
Thank you, Mr. President. No question about the motivation of this bill.
Yeah.
I just noticed that it roped in Howard County. Would like to have a closer look at it. If I could request that the bill be laid over.
That's fine. And just by way of a brief explanation, this originally was a Montgomery County bill. County Executive Calvin Ball then did send a letter into the committee asking to be part of it. So just with that background, that's perfectly fine.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, the senator's motion is in order. The bill and the amendment will lie over under the rule. Clerk, will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 591, Senator Augustine, Maryland Healthcare Commission, Patient Safety Center, designation and fund, favorable.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, in 2003, the legislature established the Maryland Patient Safety Center, and its mission is to keep Marylanders safe. They are designated as the state safety center, and things that they work on are things like infection control. They also have a program that takes care of caregivers, and these are the things that they do. And Senate Bill 591 requires the Maryland Healthcare Commission to designate a patient safety center for the state and establishes a patient safety center fund to subsidize a portion of the cost of the center. Among other duties, the designated center must develop, coordinate, and implement patient safety initiatives across the state, convene healthcare providers, patients, and families to improve the quality of care, reduce preventable and avoidable harm, and provide safe and equitable health care for state citizens, and share information relating to best practices among providers and patients in the state. For fiscal 2023 and each fiscal year thereafter, the governor must include an annual appropriation of $1 million for the fund. There are no amendments. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 591 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 607, Senator Hayes, Health Equity Resource Communities Modifications, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, last year we made a huge step towards making sure we address health inequities here in the state of Maryland. In doing so, the Community Health Resource Commission was charged with the task of actually implementation. They've noticed a couple of minor things that needed to be changed, and so here is Senate Bill 607. Senate Bill 607 alters provisions relating to the health equity resource communities, which we often refer to as HERCs. The Chesapeake Regional Information Systems for our patients, CRISP, must provide technical assistance to the Maryland Community Health Resource Commission in implementing HERCs. The date by which the commission must issue a request for proposals to designate HERCs is delayed from October 1st, 2022 to October 1st, 2023. The bill also expands the purpose of the HERC Reserve Fund to authorize 1, the funding of 1 staff person under the Pathways to Equity program, 2, the funding of 2 positions under the HERC program, and 3, the use of the fund to pay for technical assistance from CRISP beginning in FY 2024 and each year thereafter. Amendment number 1 makes changes to the purpose paragraph. Amendment number 2 alters provisions related to the HERC Reserve Fund as described. There was no opposition at the committee. I move the amendments and adoption of a favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments. In the favorable committee report on the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 607 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 697, Senator Bidle, Vehicle Laws, Mechanical Repair Contracts, Insurance Reserves, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 697 clarifies statutory provisions regulating mechanical repair contracts and insurance reserve requirements relating to these contracts. Under current law, a company that sells mechanical repair contracts must carry insurance known as a commercial liability insurance policy, or CLIP, to back the payment of obligations under the contracts it has in force. The bill clarifies that the insurance requirement may be satisfied by a policy that pays all claims that an obligor has failed to pay in accordance with the contract, known as a default CLIP, or a policy that pays all claims without a default by the obligor, known as a first dollar CLIP. The bill also allows a policy to be issued by a risk retention group properly registered by the Maryland Insurance Administration. Amendment 1 makes changes to the title of the bill, and Amendment 2 makes a technical change that clarifies language in the bill. There is no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report on the amendments. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment, say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The two committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report, say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 697 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 788, Senator Feldman, Cannabis Regulation Revisions, favorable with two amendments. This is an emergency bill.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsors the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 788 is an emergency bill that, as amended, adds a definition of medical cannabis to the code, which is the same definition that the Cannabis Commission adopted in regulation. The bill also requires that the Commission, along with the Department of Agriculture and representatives of the Hemp Coalition, study and make recommendations by January 1st of 2023 on the classification and regulation of tetrahydrocannabinoids that are artificially or naturally derived and manufacture products containing a chemical. Bottom line, Mr. President, we're trying to potentially regulate and make sure that it's tested a certain product that is an outgrowth of a loophole in the 2018 Farm Bill in the United States Congress. And so there's some concern about the safety of these products. It's out there. In any event, the two amendments are technical, alter the title, and amend the bill as just described. There's no fiscal impact. As amended, there's no opposition, or there was no opposition at the committee hearing. Mr. President, I'd move the amendments and adoption of favorable committee report. The bill passed unanimously out of the Finance Committee.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report on the amendments. Any discussion? If not, all in favor. Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore County on the amendments.
I have a question on the bill.
Yes.
Can you tell me, I have a number of some farms in my district that grow hemp that have been problematic for some of the neighbors. I wonder if you could tell me how this weather and how it would change at all their practices.
Well, it won't change it at all. The bill as introduced would have classified this kind of product that's derived from the cannabis plant. Again, a bit of a loophole from the 2018 plant. And there was a lot of pushback. Candidly, the bill as it came in, there was pushback from folks in the hemp industry that were concerned that the bill as drafted would shut them down. On the other hand, there were a lot of safety concerns about a product that is completely untested and unregulated. And I should also say that this product is sold in convenience stores, at gas stations. There's no age requirement on all this stuff. But the reality is, in order to regulate this industry correctly, we really need to understand who all the players are. So that's why the bill as amended is a study to look at this, come back in January of 2023 so we can figure out how to potentially regulate this. So under the amended version of the bill, the hemp industry and your folks are not opposed. Nobody's opposed. When we get back to January of 2023 and we figure out how to regulate this particular product, I think at that moment there's some good players and there's some bad actors, and we're trying to figure out who is what. So I don't know if that's responsive to your question, but
just a follow-up.
Sure.
So I know in the initial pilot stage of the program, the growing program, they were, when it was paired with the universities, they were doing some testing to make sure that they were staying under particular THC levels.
Right.
Is that going to
right. So one of the loopholes in this 2018 Farm Bill is it separated out the product in terms of THC levels. But the problem with that is, even if you're under that threshold, there are now synthetic forms of this product that might be under the THC level, but when you actually do this chemical synthetic process, it generates a THC level higher and pretty much produces an intoxicating effect, a high effect. And so this is, again, part of the 18 loophole. We're trying to figure it all out, and then we'll come back, I think, next session. I think this product needs to be regulated and tested, but in order to do it, we really need to understand a little more about it all. But different states are looking at this, and that's really the best answer I can give you. But you're right. Originally, we had a Farm Bill, a loophole, a product, maybe unsafe, but definitely should be regulated and tested, and I think we're going to do that, but we want to get it right. And I should also say another complicating factor is you know, we're having this conversation in the General Assembly about legalization and who the regulator even is. Another complicating factor. If we're going to regulate it, we need to have an entity, we know who the entity is going to be to regulate it. So for all those reasons, I think it's better to do it right and slow play it a little bit. And so, you know, that's basically in a nutshell.
Thank you very much.
All right, on the amendments, any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The two committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable committee report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 788 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. All right, let's go ahead to judicial proceedings. We've got report number 14. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 649, Senator Young, Frederick County, disposition of marriage ceremony fee, favorable.
Chair recognizes Senator from District 4 as the floor leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This bill alters the distribution of the fee for performing a marriage ceremony in Frederick County by requiring the clerk of the circuit court to pay $15 to Heritage Frederick instead of retaining the amount for State General Fund. Heritage Frederick must report annually to the Frederick County Executive and Maryland Historical Trust on the use of all funds received under the bill. The Frederick County Executive, or MHT, may request an audit of financial records at any time. There are no committee amendments, and I move the favorable adoption.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 649 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. We got a big one next. Chair will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 703, Senator Huff, Frederick County motor vehicle registration exception for golf carts, favorable with one amendment.
Chair recognizes bill sponsors the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Exciting stuff coming from Frederick County tonight. As amended, this bill authorizes a person to operate a golf cart on a county road in Frederick County, subject to certain limitations or requirements. Frederick County may, by local law, designate county roads on which a person may operate a golf cart or establish further safety requirements. There's one amendment, changes the sponsorship of the bill to Frederick County senators. I'd move the amendment and favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The one committee amendment is adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 703 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 746, Senator Huff, Frederick County Sheriff's salary, favorable with two amendments.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This bill, as amended, increases the annual salary of the Sheriff of Frederick County from $125,000 to $140,000 in 2023 and $150,000 in 2025 and each year thereafter. There are two amendments. Amendment number one is sponsor line amendment and technical. Amendment number two is the salary requirements I just laid out. I'd move the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The two committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the favorable committee report is amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 746 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 819, Senator Heddleman, Governor's Office of Crime Prevention, Youth and Victim Services, Executive Director appointment, favorable.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This bill requires the governor to appoint the Executive Director of the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention, Youth and Victim Services with the advice and consent of the Senate. The Executive Director of the office must serve at the pleasure of the governor. The Executive Director who's serving on the bill's effective date, October 1, may continue to serve until 2 years after the bill's effective date and may be reappointed after the expiration of the term. There are no committee amendments. I move for the favorable adoption of the committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 819 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. We've got another JPR. This is number 18. Clerk, read the first bill.
Senate Bill 958, Senator Carrozza, Law Enforcement Officers Pension System, Crisfield Police Department, re-referred to B&T.
The bill will be re-referred to the appropriate standing committee. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 997, Senator Eckert. Correctional Officers Retirement System, Talbot County, re-referred to B&T.
All right, the bill will be referred to the appropriate standing committee. We now have Ehe, who has been doing lots of work, lots and lots of work. This is calendar number 25. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 124, Senator Heddleman. Public Schools Grant Program to Reduce and Compost School Waste, favorable with one amendment.
As we are looking for the floor leader on this one, we're learning a lot about our pilot, the compost program. A lot of little intricate details that we are learning about. So, Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the evening that we just passed the Climate Solutions Bill, we are going to be taking another important step with this bill. Did you know that in 2020, Maryland had 941,000 tons of food waste that could have been composted? So with this bill, it's going to expand the already effective programs that are in effect in some parts of the state. Compost helps reduce greenhouse gases and helps reduce the amount of food that goes into our landfill. 1 out of 7 Maryland kids are hungry. This helps set up share tables. It passed unanimously, and there is one amendment. The amendment reduces the amount of funding rather than $500,000, $250,000 for 5 years, and the bill sunsets after 5 years. Move the favorable report and the amendment.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report on the amendment. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The one committee amendment is adopted. Question now on the favorable committee report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 124 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 540, Senator Elfreth. Higher Education Transfer Platform established. Transfer with Success Act 2.0, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, we have all received complaints from students in our districts who are transferring from a 2-year school to a 4-year school who said, my credits were rejected, or I've got to take 2 classes over again. This has been a recurring problem across our state. The bill before you, Senate Bill 540, sets up a situation that calls for a transfer platform to facilitate more efficient and effective transfers of students who go from 2-year colleges to 4-year colleges. Will fall under MHEC, but they can delegate the responsibility to the USM, and currently USM has a program called ARTSIS that tries to have a platform so students can find out what courses can transfer and should be accepted. Unfortunately, there are too many times where a student says, I took the same course, and they're told it won't count at the 4-year college. This tries to up the game and make it more efficient and effective. It sets up articulation agreements, and there are 2 amendments. The first one is technical. The second one amends requirements for the commission, procedure for the transfer of students requiring receiving institutions. If the course has 70% of the outcomes, they have to count it as credit. They can't say no thank you. So if you're coming from Cecil Community College or Prince George Community College to say Towson, if it's virtually the same course, they can't say no thank you because they might be looking down at the community college, to be frank. It requires a public institution of higher education that doesn't honor information to report those failures to and denial of transfer credit. For private nonprofits, they only have to participate if they have 50 or more community college students transferring into the program. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, if the transfer platform design and establishment is delegated to USM, and that probably will happen because they run a program called ARTSIS, they have to adhere to the requirements set forth in law by MHEC. It also adds components to the transfer platform, and it strikes the appropriation. The Budget and Tax and Appropriations Committee have done well by funding the 2-year and 4-year colleges, so that was taken out. Mr. President, move adoption of the 2 committee amendments, favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. Chair recognizes the senator from the 21st District on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm wildly for this bill. Let me just start there. I've been fighting this issue since I was on the Board of Regents at the university. What I don't understand, though, is how the 70% is measured by whom.
I'm going to defer to the sponsor of the bill.
There you go.
But before I do that, Senator, you know, before judgments were made by the department, by the receiving institution, and too many times they just said no. And we don't know if it's because the courses really were different or they felt that the course at the four-year college was at a superior level and a more rigorous level. So we've tried to quantify it and make the outcomes of the courses the deciding factor. And if 70% of those outcomes, and I'm going to again defer to her to give the finite answer to that. But we've tried this for years. At one point, in Senate Bill 740, we tried to have a common numbering system.
Absolutely.
And we were met with resistance on that.
Absolutely.
So we're trying to push it further and further to minimize this problem's transfer. And with that,
the floor leader yields to the sponsor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, it should be determined by the transferring college or the college receiving the transfer. So we have, as you know, very familiar, the articulation agreements between 2 years and 4 years. So all of that should be determined by the receiving institution. The beauty of the platform that the chair just discussed is if I'm a student, let's say at Anne Arundel Community College, I want to pursue a nursing degree, I can actually go into this platform and see which courses I need to take. If I want to transfer to, let's say, Towson University's nursing program, I can see them before I even take that course because of the articulation agreement that's already determined between the two universities.
That's great from a transparency point of view, but the 70% thing, the 70% outcomes, I didn't follow that at all.
That should be determined by the receiving institution. I can double check for you if MHEC is involved in certifying that in any way, but I'm very certain it's the receiving institution.
The concept is that in this case the university would say this course from this community college has 70% or 69% or 71% of what?
Of the learning outcomes of that course. So the syllabi are similar. They're, the content of the course are at least 70% similar to what they would need to transfer successfully.
And do the community colleges under this model have any ability to make an argument that they do, or is it all on the receiving?
They do, and what I'm excited about this bill, I know the committee, I believe, agreed with it. It's the first time in a long time the community colleges, the USM, and MICUA all came to the table. All came to the table, and so we're seeing this culture shift, if I could be so bold, in these institutions working proactively together for the first time in a long time. So it would be fair to say that those internal conversations and those articulation agreements are going to continue to be productive.
Thank you very much. I would just say on the bill with the amendments, I think it's a small step for mankind, but I think we really got to keep an eye on them. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, and Senator, if I can, the beauty of this is that those decisions will be made before the student transfer. So and that's very important, where it's not a judgment. A student's coming in, you look at the rest of their transcript or their GPA and make that judgment, opposed to making it apples to apples with the courses predetermined.
All right, on the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The two committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none. Senate Bill 540 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 589, Senator Hayes, University of Maryland employees, authorization to fundraise, favorable with two amendments.
Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore City as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 589, as amended, authorizes that notwithstanding restrictions on gifts and solicitations under the procedure of our office and current law, an employee of University of Maryland Baltimore campus may solicit gifts or proposals for grants for the benefit of the University of Maryland Medical System Corporation in accordance with the university's policies regarding coordinating fundraising between the university and UMMSC. Amendment number 1 makes technical changes to the bill's title. Amendment number 2 clarifies that this exemption applies only to employees of the University of Maryland system. Of note, UMMSC is organized under state law for charitable, scientific, and educational purposes and is governed by a board of directors. Our state statute currently further specifies that UMMSC is not a state agency, a political subdivision, a public body, a public corporation, or municipal corporation, and therefore is not subject to any provisions of law affecting only governmental public entities. I ask for the adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Without objection, the amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 589 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 717, Senator Simon Ayer, Public Schools Virtual Education Days, authorization, favorable with two amendments.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsor, the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill allows the County Board of Education to authorize the local superintendent in cases of severe weather conditions to provide virtual education days to students instead of closing the public school in the county during a severe weather event. Authorization must proceed by discussion of an open board meeting and affirmative board vote. The county superintendent may decide to provide a virtual education day under specified condition and must notify the school principals as soon as possible after the decision. A school principal receiving notice must notify the students, parents, and school staff of the implementation, and it takes effect July 1st, 2022. There were two amendments. The first is technical and adds co-sponsors. The second requires the county board to publish this plan on the website, provides required components of the plan, requires at least 4 hours of synchronous learning, and clarifies the county superintendent develops the plan. I move the amendment in the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of two committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Without objection, the amendments are adopted. On the report, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 717 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 802, Senator Gazzoni, Maryland Consortium Coordinated Community Supports, Membership and Coordinated Community Supports Partnership Fund Revisions, favorable with two amendments.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 12th District as the floor leader.
Thank you. Senate Bill 802 increases from 2 to 4 the number of additional staff that must be added to the Maryland Community Health Resources Commission to staff the Maryland Consortium on Coordinated Community Supports, known as the Consortium. 2 additional members will be added. The appointed members of the consortium will serve 4-year terms, and a memorandum of understanding must be entered into by the consortium, the commission, and the National Center for School and Mental Health regarding provisions of technical assistance with the National Center. Responsibility for administering the partnership fund is transferred from MSCE to the commission. The bill clarifies that the grants from the Coordinated Community Supports Partnership Fund are provided to the commission, and the state funding provided under the fund is supplemental to funding that would otherwise be appropriated to the Maryland Community Health Resources Commission Fund in the state budget. There are 2 community amendments. The first amendment makes technical changes to the bill's title and adds a co-sponsor. Amendment number 2 alters the membership of the consortium to add a senator and a delegate. It also provides that certain non-departmental representatives are subject to term limits and staggers the terms of these members. It also alters the appropriation amounts in the fund from fiscal years 24, 25, 26. It delays the submission date of the consortium's initial report to December 1st, 2022, and it changes the effective date from July 1st, 2022. Move the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. On the amended report, any discussion? Without objection, the favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 802 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 841, Senator Ferguson, Morgan State University, Carnegie Classification, Doctoral University with very high research activity, favorable with 1 amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator from Baltimore City as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 841 requires Morgan State University to develop and implement a plan to enhance the university so that it may be designed as a doctoral program with very high research activity. In addition to its priorities, MSU must be dedicated to 1, sustaining an annual research expenditures of, increase their expenditures from 50 to 75 million, that range, reach to address issues that disproportionately impact communities of colors. There's 1 committee amendment, it's a sponsor amendment. There is no fiscal impact, and I ask for your adoption of the favorable committee, of the amendments in the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the one committee amendment, the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee amendment is adopted. On the report, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 841 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. All right, Senators, in honor of Pi Day today, I think we're going to call it there. I think we're fading. We're fading. And so we got a long week, and so starting on a late night is probably not the best way to get through a long week. So it's a bit of a game time call, but I think it's time. Any announcements from our committees? Any announcements? Any delegation announcements? Other announcements? Yes, Chair recognizes Senator from the 27th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, Wednesday at 8:30 we'll have a Senate caucus, Veterans Caucus meeting. Hopefully we'll have all of our endorsements for our legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, on Wednesday. All right, any other announcements? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 47 members in the chamber and a quorum present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate of Maryland stand adjourned until Tuesday, March 15th at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. without objection, so ordered. Happy Pi Day.